Saturday of the 16th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the book of the prophet Jeremiah. The following message came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Stand at the gate of the house of the Lord, and there proclaim this message. Hear the word of the Lord, O you of Judah, who enter these gates to worship the Lord. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, reform your ways and your deeds, so that I may remain with you in this place. Put not your trust in the deceitful words, this is the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord. Only if you thoroughly reform your ways and your deeds, if each of you deals justly with his neighbor, if you no longer oppress the resident alien, the orphan, and the widow, if you no longer shed innocent blood in this place, or follow strange gods to your own harm, will I remain with you in this place, in the land I gave your fathers long ago and forever. But here you are, putting your trust in deceitful words to your own loss. Are you to steal and murder, commit adultery and perjury, burn incense to Baal, go after strange gods that you know not, and yet come to stand before me in this house which bears my name, and say, we are safe, we can commit all these abominations again? Has this house which bears my name become in your eyes a den of thieves? I too see what is being done, says the Lord. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, how lovely is your dwelling place, Lord, mighty God. My soul yearns and pines for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living God. How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord, mighty God. Even the sparrow finds a home, and the swallow a nest in which she puts her young. Your altars, O Lord of hosts, my King and my God. How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord, mighty God. Blessed they who dwell in your house, continually they praise you. Blessed the men whose strength you are. They go from strength to strength. How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord, mighty God. I had rather one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. I had rather lie at the threshold of the house of my God than dwell in the tents of the wicked. How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord, mighty God.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus proposed a parable to the crowds. The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a man who sowed good seed in his field. While everyone was asleep, his enemy came and sowed weeds all through the wheat, and then went off. When the crop grew and bore fruit, the weeds appeared as well. The slaves of the householder came to him and said, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where have the weeds come from? He answered, An enemy has done this. His slave said to him, Do you want us to go and pull them up? He replied, No, if you pull up the weeds, you might uproot the wheat along with them. Let them grow together until harvest. Then at harvest time I will say to the harvesters, First collect the weeds and tie them in bundles for burning, but gather the wheat into my barn. The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading comes from Jeremiah 7, 1-11. Jeremiah stands outside of the gate of the temple, and he proclaims that the people should convert their ways. They're trusting in the temple of the Lord. It's an external object which shows that they're the chosen people. But instead of converting their ways and instead of living as chosen people, they presume upon God's mercy. As long as they have the temple, they'll be protected. What does Jeremiah say? No longer oppress the resident alien, the orphan, the widow. In other words, treat the people around you with social justice. But also, stop burning incense to Baal. Notice Jeremiah the prophet speaks about the horizontal dimension of our faith, how we treat others, but also the vertical dimension, how we worship God. Both of those should be in order. What we do in the temple, what we do in our churches, should be an external sign of what's already interiorly true in our hearts, that we have turned ourselves over to a life of service and love, as opposed to making our faith a superstitious, magical act, in which if we do the right moves, then God has to bless us. The Gospel is from Matthew 13, 24 to 30. This is another of the parables of the seed sown in the ground. In this case, good seed is sown in the ground, but an enemy comes and sows weeds during the night. The wheat grows along with the weeds. Servants ask, should we pull up the weeds? The masters answer, no, leave them in. We'll separate it at harvest time. This answers a little bit of the scandal. If the gospel was preached, if the kingdom of heaven is already dawning, then why do people continue to do evil? The answer, God is patient. God doesn't want to destroy the good with the bad, so he allows things to stay until the time of judgment comes. In the time of judgment, the sheep will be separated from the goats, the wheat from the weeds. And may God bless us.